This is a beginner's guide to Grep Anchored Object, which is an InDesign script that lets you take text that's in the main flow of text and put it automatically in an anchored object. And you can run it on a whole big document, and with one click you've got it all done. And a basic use for this would be to, for instance, create side subheads, something like that. So let's see how it works. There are two things that you need to do before you run Grep Anchored Object. One is to create the anchored object style that you need, the object style for the anchored frame that you're going to be using for the anchored object. And the other is to set up your InDesign find change. So let's see how we can do this. In this document, it's all just plain text, and in a few places we've got caption text. Now, if I go to the paragraph styles panel, the regular text all has the paragraph style body text applied to it, and the caption text has the paragraph style caption. So I want to take all of the text that's in the caption style and put it into an anchored object. So first of all, let's create that anchored object. I'm going to open another document here, tab over to this one, and here I've created the style for the caption that I want. So if I go to the object styles, you'll see that this object, which right now is not anchored, has a style called caption frame. And if we go, I right click on this, edit caption frame, I've changed some settings. I've given it a fill, I've given it some corner options, and to make it look like this, I've not auto-sized it, but I've changed the size, I've given it a height, and so on. Basic stuff that I want. I've also set its text wrap so that it's going to push text away, and I've even set its anchored object options so that if it is flowed, if it is attached, anchored to text, it will end up in the right place. Let's just see how that works. If I create a text frame here and I fill it with some placeholder text, and then I cut this and I paste it into a paragraph here, so you see that it automatically jumps to the side of the frame, and that's because of the anchored object settings that this object style has. So this is the object we want. Also, another thing, I'll switch to the text tool, and if we go into the paragraph styles panel, I've given the text in the caption the style in caption. So that's what we want to use. So I'm going to select this frame and copy it, and then go back to the original document. I'll open the object styles panel, and I'll delete the existing one from when I was trying this out. And now I'm going to just paste Control V or Command V on a Mac, the caption style. Okay, and you see, because I've pasted it, it's come in with the caption frame style, and in the paragraph styles, it's also brought in the in caption style. I can now delete this, don't need it. I'm in the middle of the spread. So that is the first stage of Grep Anchored Object, to create the object style that we want to use for the anchored object. Next, we need to get all of these paragraphs into anchored objects. How do we do that? So I'll press Control or Command F on a Mac to open InDesign's find change, and I'll go to the Grep tab here, because Grep Anchored Object uses the settings in this tab to find the text that it's going to put into the anchored object. Let me clear out anything that I've got leftovers here. Delete, click on the delete here. So we've got a clean slate. And now basically I want to find this text. Now grep can sound very frightening. Grep can be very powerful, very complicated, but you don't actually have to use a grep expression when you're using Grep Anchored Object. We can just search according to the paragraph style here, which is a caption. So if I click on Find Format and I go down to the paragraph style and I select the caption style, then that's all I need to do. If I click on Find Next, InDesign will find the captions based on their paragraph style. And so that's what it's going to put into the anchored object. However, I'm going to click on Find Next again. If we zoom in here, we see that just by searching for the style, it includes the enter at the end of the paragraph. Do that again, Find Next. and it includes that, and I don't want to include that. I don't want this paragraph to be completely deleted when it's put into a anchored object. So I need to slightly modify the grep. I do need to use a simple grep expression here that won't include the enter, and I can do that by typing period, which stands for any character, and plus, which stands for one or more of those. But the period doesn't include the enter. Okay, so now when we click on Find Next, it's finding all of the text, but it doesn't include the paragraph. Do that again, Find Next, because it's finding anything which is not a paragraph. Enter. Fine. Now, one more thing. We said that we created a paragraph style called InCaption. Right now, the text here has a style caption, but I want the text inside the anchored object to have a different paragraph style. So I'll click on the change format and I'll choose InCaption. Okay. And note that now the next stage is just to close this window. I'll click on Done. You're not actually doing a find change there. We set it up ready to find the stuff that we want to find. Now I'll navigate to the scripts panel here, which I have stored in my workspace. Double click to run, and this is the GREP anchored object window. And in this window, the first thing to do is to select the object style that we created for the anchored objects, caption frame. We can leave the width at the default 40. It doesn't really matter because in new versions of InDesign you can set the width as part of an object style. And we do want to perform a change grep on the anchored object. In other words, like we said, we want to change from the caption paragraph style to the InCaption paragraph style. And we did that in the find change. So I'll check this box, and then it will lift the text, put it in an anchored object, and perform the change grep on it. So that should hopefully switch the style. Now, next, in the location options, you can choose where you want the anchored object to be anchored to. You can anchor it to exactly where it finds it. You can anchor it to the end of the previous paragraph or to the beginning of the paragraph that it's in. Now here it doesn't make so much sense, but if we were picking up a word in the middle of the paragraph, it could pick it up, put it in an anchored object, and then anchor it to the beginning of the paragraph. And in the scope, you set if you want to run it on the entire document and selection. So fine, let's click OK, see what happens. Great. The number of anchored objects created is 3, it tells us. And when I click OK, the text is there. Let's just see that the text inside has the style that we created. It does in caption. It ran the great change grep. So that is very nice. I can see that there are one or two things missing in this object style. Let's just fix things up. I'll go to the Object Styles panel. I'll right-click, Edit Caption Frame. I think the text wrap needs a bit of work. Well, I've set it to have 10 points text wrap on the right, but it doesn't actually seem, and on the left, doesn't seem to have picked that up. So it must be overridden. Let's just check that. I'll clear the override selector, caption, clear overrides. Yeah, there you go. It reinstates text wrap. So I'm not quite sure why the text wrap was overridden. There is obviously a quick way of doing that. I'll press Ctrl F, go to the Object tab, and in the Find Object Format, I'll click here, go to Style Options, select the caption frame style, okay. And in the Change Object Format, I'll click here, go to Style Options, and again, click Caption Frame. So I'm finding and changing with the same style, and I'm going to search the entire document. I know these are text frames, so I'll select text frames here. And now I'll do a Change All, and it says 3 objects found, 3 replacements made, but all it's actually done is reset the objects to the default settings. Next, I don't like the indent that I used to have here, so I'm just going to get rid of the indent for this paragraph style. I can do that by going to the Paragraph Styles panel, right-clicking on Body Text, Edit Body Text, go to Indents and Spacing, change the first line indent to 0, and there we go, click OK, done, and there we have it. That is GREP to Anchored Object, a very useful script. if you want to make captions and so on. Now, in the next video, there are one or two complications, not actually to do with grep anchored object, just to do with captions, and I'll try to show you what the problems are and how to solve them. But just as a quick preview of the problem, the issue is this. If the caption goes to the top of the frame, or should go to the top of the frame, if the paragraph starts on a new page, the caption will end up on the previous page. How do we solve that? And there are a few complications, because even if I were to push it a line further down, now we've got another problem that the text isn't starting at the top of the frame. So how can we solve that? That will be in the next video. So I hope you found that interesting. A beginner's guide to grep anchored object. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.